Young ladies and gentlemen, good evening everyone. Welcome in this new video conference dedicated to world news, top stories, international news. The time has just carried out a provocation seriousness of Russia, and this provocation materializes through the course of a military exercise unprecedented in Finland. You should know that Finland has joined NATO in 2023. I think it was in March 2023. After integrating time, despite Russia's warnings, despite Russia's firm position, Finland is on the side of NATO. But things haven't been going well for some time now between Finland and the Federation of Russia because of what Russia said that she didn't want. That is to say, the installation of NATO forces at the level of Russia's backline. It is which is what Finland continues to do. And the worst part this time is a solemn warning of sorts, which is sent to the Federation of Russia. So we can see it. An exercise of very large scale. And the worst part is that the exercise takes place 100 kilometers from the border of the Russia. So it's in the nostrils of the Russian Federation. So a severe provocation which leads to a response or which will lead to a serious response from the Russian Federation. And so within the framework of this video conference and this news that we are going to talk about, but before that, continue as usual. Share the maximum conference time. Put in a lot like, share, and if you are new, please click the button subscribe. Please subscribe. This allows you to never miss the hottest news of the moment. Let's delve into the depths. So, it's an artillery exercise at the Russian border. This is a clear message that NATO is sending to the Russian Federation. The exercise is called a North Strict 200. Yes, 225. Northern Strict 225. And the exercise is being conducted by Finland in cooperation with NATO. The exercise is taking place in the region of Raj-Rovarvi, that's in the north of the Finland, and it's about 100 kilometers from the Russian border. The place is not chosen at random. They deliberately chose this spot. This is to test the responsiveness of the Russia. This is a real provocation. And it performs this exercise in this winter. The stated objective is clearly, it's about training the allies and NATO and its members, the states members, plus other powerful allies will stand an offensive during the period winter vis-à-vis Russia. The message is very clear. The message is clear. So if it was perhaps a simple exercise, he could do this exercise a little more far from the Russian border. But why come right into the mouth of the Russian Federation to provoke the Russia on its flank? I think it's its northern flank, right? If I don't err. So this exercise implies approximately 2,200 soldiers. They are not that numerous. 2,200 soldiers. But the nature of the activities prompts reflection. And Russia considered this to be a real provocation. And so, among the 2,200 soldiers, there are a Polish unit and 500 vehicles, combined vehicles, equipment, who have gone into action. The objective that they themselves displayed, it's about training the artillery, the shots combined, the maneuvers, winter in the Arctic zone, and strengthen interoperability with allies. Therefore, train soldiers in artillery, winter period, those trained in combined shots, Here are some types of shots that can to strike the Russian Federation and that Russia can truly feel. So there you have it. Strengthen their interoperability. When forces are in contact, one objective's main or principal, I was going to say, it's about creating a coordination of military activities. That's what they call for interoperability. So, it must be said that NATO settles in on the Russian border and installs its cannons. There is no longer, obviously, a simple military exercise. It's a military signal. It's like saying to Russia, beware, we are here. We are ready. The slightest mistake, we can attack you from NATO's eastern flank, starting from the Finnish border with Finland. So, it must be said first. It must be said, remind that since Finland integrated NATO in April, that was in April 2023, Finland has changed its status, military and strategic. Initially, the Finland was much more in a stance of neutrality, but today it's quite the opposite. And so, as NATO's northeastern front, right, facing Russia, Finland, it therefore becomes a key area of deterrence. Finland is therefore used for to be able to obviously deter the Russian Federation, even if that does not seriously impact Russia. But this worries Russia because Russia is also obliged to cope. You never know. It's NATO. At any time, NATO can enter Russian territory with arguments like, here it is, and so. Russia is also preparing a response. And so it must be said that these exercises, military personnel, show that Finland, whose the capital happens to be Helsinki, does not content to defend herself more. If at Finland was initially in a defensive posture, but now the Finland is training to engage, right? To arrange the allied forces on its soil, how to proceed with an attack. Certainly preventative, since in the mentality of NATO elements, its offensive actions must be taken, offensive acts as preventive. So Flinders is no longer a neighbor, peaceful or a passive neighbor of Russia. The Flinders thus becomes an advanced ramp of NATO. There you have it. Since the territory, Finnish, is now used for to try to scare Russia. But is there anything Russia should be afraid of with that? So this is a message that is very direct in Moscow. And it is now up to Moscow to respond. The fact of holding these exercises at 100 kilometers from the border, it's a challenge that is launched in Russia. It's for testing Russia's capacity to react. Will Russia be interested? Of course, yes, Russia will, to set his soldiers in motion. The Russia is not prepared to tolerate this. Russia may even proceed with military training exercises at 50 or 30 kilometers from the Finnish border. But we ask, where Finland shoots this inspiration? This Finland, which has, I was so afraid of Russia until to build a wall, let's put it that way, which separates Finland from Russia. Because Finland believed that the Russia was sending many migrants and then there's Russia could surprise them at any moment. But here is this exercise, which is currently underway to be organized. So already in the around the Kremlin, many are saying that the Russia would prepare a serious response to this provocation of NATO. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is obviously the situation. Thank you. So we will continue to follow this news to see what will happen because NATO is in a provocation that dare not speak its name. We will continue to follow everything that will follow from this. We'll come back to talk about it later here on the platform of conscience. Thank you all. I thank you. Come back in a little while. It was the voice from your humble servant, Robert Théa.